caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the...
What's up, guys? Lance, the Obscure Movie Guy, coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but trying to change the world one post at a time. And I am here once again to talk about my good friends and the good people over at Acrostar Films. Now, if anybody has been following me, which you should, you'll know that a few months back I did a trailer reaction for their latest film coming out called Desperate Souls. Now that has just been released. I got an early look at it last week, and I'm here to talk about it once again today to do a film review for Desperate Souls. But before we get into that too far, let's take a look back at the trailer real quick to see what it's about. Desperate Souls is a 2023 horror romance independent film starring Angel Bradford and Joe Rosing. Living in the endless void of the afterlife, Maura survives on the lust, despair, and grief of men, an existence that this enchantress has known for eons as a succubus. Using her exquisite beauty, she lures them with false hopes of relief from the mental pain before consuming their broken souls. When Maura hears the cries of Devon, a man whose life dances on the edge of a razor blade, she's drawn to a pain that she's never felt before. Discovering they both found what they have longed for, Maura is determined to keep them together and not let anyone stand in their way. No matter who, she must kill. That's a quick synopsis of what the film was about, and I gotta tell you, it came out really, really well for these fine folks at Acrostar Films. This is actually based off of a short story that the director S.J. Herman had written prior to, and it got such good reviews as a short story, he decided to turn it into a full-length feature. They ran an Indiegogo campaign, which they're still semi-doing for finishing funds. We'll talk about that in a hot second, but ran an Indiegogo campaign to get the funds to make it happen, and got a lot of good actors and actresses to participate in this film. There's notably, obviously, the two leads, Angel Bradford and Joe Rising, which both did a spectacular job in this film. I'll be honest, when I watched the trailer originally, I really thought Angel Bradford was going to be the standout for this film, and she did an incredible job. But it should be noted that Joe Rising did an amazing job as well. His performance came through a lot better than I thought it was going to. And not to take anything away from him as an actor, but the trailer didn't portray his performance as well as it did Angel's. But when you watch the film, Joe put a lot of effort into the character Devon, as well as everybody else in the cast. Everybody did a really, really good job. But Joe, I got to talk to him a little bit about the film and his commitment to the film. And he's a really interesting guy. He put a lot of effort into pulling this off. Devon is a down-and-out kind of guy. They don't really dive in as to why too much, the specific reasons, but that doesn't necessarily need to be said in this movie. There's a lot of people that have depression in this world for a lot of different reasons, and it doesn't necessarily need to be something that's specified. And even though that they didn't specify it in this film, it didn't take anything away from the character or the storyline to begin with. But Joe wanted to Joe wanted to look like shit, and he wanted to feel like shit, to try and portray the character and be in the character's mindset. He picked up smoking. He's smoking about 2.5 packs a week to try and feel like crap, trying to look like crap. He didn't wash his hair. While he were filming, he took showers, but he wouldn't wash his hair, with the exception of a couple times when people had to be close to him. But really, when you talk about that type of commitment to a role, that's usually stuff that you would see in a big-time Hollywood star. I've talked about it in the past about Val Kilmer and some of his method acting and the lengths that he would go to portray a character. And I'm not saying that Joe is on the level of Val Kilmer just yet, but it's interesting to see somebody that's obviously not as recognizable as Val Kilmer, but it's interesting to see somebody that's doing something that's that committed to a role, even though that this is an independent film that's privately funded. There's not a big budget here. It's not a blockbuster hit. But to see somebody put that type of commitment into a role like this for a film like this, I think it says a lot, not just about Joe, but Acrostar itself. You know, he had the confidence in Acrostar to put that much effort into the role. So I think that says a lot about both parties in that regard. And as far as the story itself, it was really well written. And I don't mean just the storyline itself. Like I said, S.J. Herman, it was a short story that he turned into basically a full-length feature. But when you start breaking it down, when I say it's well written, I don't mean like just the storyline itself. Like the actual dialogue is very well done between the characters. There's a couple of really good scenes where it was very well written out as far as what they were saying to each other. I mean, let's face it, a lot of times when we're watching movies, I kind of feel like, and I know I'm guilty of this, but kind of feel like I can finish the sentence for the characters as they're talking. Like I know what the end of that sentence is going to be. And I caught myself doing that a couple times with this, but I wasn't getting it right. The dialogue was completely different, you know, and it might just be a switch of a word or a couple words or just a simple phrase, but it was enough to keep me engaged that I'm not predicting what the character's going to say. I'm not finishing their sentences for them, and the dialogue itself is truly unique in that regard. So really well done. And even the supporting cast, we have Jake Yanko, who I talked about a little bit from It Came From Somewhere, did a really good job as Dan. He's got an interesting story arc that too kind of plays on depression a little bit. Angel Bradford basically plays a succubus, a demon that, you know, thrives on the despair and just the depression of men and basically sucks their life out of them, literally. But there's a really good scene between her and Jake that goes to show that no matter how confident somebody might seem on the outside, they're still fighting a demon on the inside, and that was a really well written scene as well. And I think what I like the most about this is that the originality of the storyline itself, where you have this succubus that thrives on depression from men to stay alive, but falls in love with Devin, Joe's character. And there was a really good scene towards the end of the film that created quite the quandary for the characters. You know, it basically comes out that, you know, she is a succubus and she is draining, you know, Devin's life force, and, you know, her being with him is going to kill him. And she does not want to kill Devin. But Devin loves her so much that he's willing to go that route. And I like that idea because it's not just a human, you know, it's not your simple "I would die for you" type moment. It's not a human, you know, jumping in front of a bullet to save somebody. You're literally with the thing that is going to kill you, and you're willing to have whatever little bit of time that is, whether it's a day, whether it's 3 weeks, whether it's a year. You're willing to have that little bit of time with that thing that's going to kill you than to not have it at all. The only other movie that I can think of that even touched on that type of quandary off the top of my head, it would be like City of Angels with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, where he basically, you know, is a fallen angel. He takes the leap to become human, and he's with her for a day before she dies. And at the end, you know, Andre Braugher's character asks him, was it worth it? Yeah. For that one day, it was completely worth it for Nicolas Cage's character. And that's kind of the quandary that we have with this film. Devin's willing to die just to be with her. And she loves him so much that she's willing to not be with him to keep him alive. So, really good storyline, really well written. But I mean, as you know, I highly recommend this to anybody that's into independent films. Acrostar usually goes above and beyond with the little bit of budget that they get, and they thrive on good storytelling and good acting, and it comes through really well in this. This is a great expose on how to do a lot with a little, and it's really interesting to see like, here's something else that was kind of interesting to me, and I don't want to rattle on about it, but obviously with like an Indiegogo campaign, there's a few different perks that I talked about in the previous, trailer reaction that people can get. Something as simple as, having, an IMDb credit, or having, more seriously, like to have an actual like line in the movie, or just to have your picture in the movie. And it's funny when I talk about those things and then I watch Desperate Souls, and I'm like, I can pick up on, oh, those people bought the perk for the picture, and that guy bought the perk to have a line, and that guy bought the perk to be in a scene. And it's kind of cool when you run across that, but at no given time, even though I notice those things, they don't feel forced into the movie. I feel like with some independent films that do stuff like that, they try to force those things in there to make sure that the people get their money's worth. But it didn't feel forced in this. Everything felt very natural about this movie. The way it flowed, the way it progressed. If I had any complaints, I might have two. One complaint would be Angel Bradford's, the succubus, its wings. They're a little clunky. They worked with what they had, and they're convincing enough to be like, okay, they're demon wings, but, it probably, and some of it might have been lighting, but other than that, the only other quandary that I would have with anything would be, there's one scene where they find out the bartender died, and I thought maybe a little bit more emotion would have been involved with that, but it's also not necessarily brought to light how serious or close these characters were with the actual bartender. But given the storyline, I feel like that there would have been at least a little bit more emotionality with with that scene. But other than that, realistically, those are very few and far in between complaints about something of this nature. So I gotta hand it to Acrostar. They did a great job, and once again, I look forward to the next thing that they're doing. They're currently working on a zombie film based in the 60s, Attack of the Corn Zombies, and it looks amazing from the stuff that I've seen online, and I can't wait to talk about that when they go ahead and, if they will let me do it. But yeah, that's where I'm at. This was a really good movie. I'm really impressed with the work that they did, and I always appreciate them coming to me for trailer reactions and reviews. And once again, I hope I did justice and did good by them. So I wish them the best of luck on their next venture, the Attack of the Corn Zombies, and anything that they got coming after that. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check me out on Tumblr, check me out on Reddit, and check me out on Facebook. You can also check out Acrostar Films on Facebook and YouTube as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to their YouTube channel and get caught up on all of their latest and greatest flicks and films and everything else that's coming forward from them. So appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.